Since 2005, we've done a number of surveys in the area and in the wider Erris area. National media, the Irish Times have done surveys, and all those surveys have shown majority support in favour of Shell to sea. I've been attacked on numerous occasions by Gardaí. I've been assaulted, I've been hurt, I was hospitalised at one stage. I've had property stolen, I've had a camera smashed. Twice I've tried to prosecute the Gardaí myself in the court.
Protesters have lodged a total of 138 complaints against the conduct of police officers to the independent Garda Síochána Ombudsman Commission. 136 of those complaints have been dismissed with no need for disciplinary action. 2 cases are still outstanding.
Knackers, that's all, yeah.
Public order policing is not pretty. It's difficult to carry out. The level of threats, intimidation and abuse that my men and women take down there on a daily basis, and to me that's totally unacceptable.
What are you doing here?
We police down there as best we can without any use of force whatsoever, other than what we have to do to affect the law of the land.
Wait, are you wearing? You're not obeying your instructions. We're requiring you to fuck off. How about that?
Yeah, I'm prepared to die. But I'll tell you, Ken Sarawiwa knew that when he took on Shell, he knew himself he was going to die. Now, nobody here wants to die. I don't want to die. Nobody here wants to die. But I'm not scared of dying.
Now, while Niall Harnett may be prepared to die for his cause, he's not quite so enthusiastic when it comes to giving up his liberty. On May the 18th here in Belmullet District Court, he begged the judge not to send him to prison for 3 months on a conviction for public order offences. He told the court that he simply couldn't bear to be separated from his partner. For every claim made by those who want to banish Shell from Ireland, there are counterclaims by those who support the project. For every allegation of police brutality and big oil conspiracies, there are counter-allegations that Erris is a community in the grip of fear and intimidation caused by people with paramilitary muscle. Even the politicians here who support the silent majority have been silenced themselves.
I'm surprised that our politicians haven't spoken more vocally, because their silence in many ways gives a certain amount of support to the protesters. Then I do think that our Irish politicians generally lack moral courage in speaking out on certain issues. I think this is one. I believe that it would be of value if they spoke out at this time and said, we're a supporter of this project. We want this project to go through. It has followed the legal route so far. We believe it can be of benefit to Mayo. It's of significant benefit to the country also. And while we accept the right of legitimate protest, this country, this republic, is not going to be enthralled to the tyranny of those who seek to oppose by illegal means the informed conclusions of state agencies.
From my own knowledge of this community here, where I lived for 25 years, the vast majority of the people in Erris support this project. No doubt about that. There's no doubt, again, going back to the intimidation, a lot of people are afraid to come out and say that. And indeed, the people who support the project themselves have been intimidated, and they'll tell you that quite openly.
I've been intimidated in my own local shop by a protester. I have been intimidated at meetings. I have been intimidated in my land. I have been intimidated when I visit the site.
Since I've spoken out on this issue, some protesters, if I meet them in a supermarket, they glare at me or they shun me in the street. I can cope with that. I have no problem with it. If that's how they see it, that's fine. But I think that the protesters have never accepted the right of people to take a different view to them. And that, I think, is one of the things that most kind of perturbs me about them.
These people, to me, are anarchists. They have no interest in the law of the land. They use the law and they abuse it in equal measure, and they certainly don't seem to have any respect whatsoever for the law. There has been a huge range of intimidation, indeed of violence and threats and anonymous phone calls to people. And, you know, a lot of people have been terrorised and intimidated by those. People have been followed home from work. These are workers who work down there. People have been intimidated in shops and in pubs, have been threatened in the most vile way. And as I say again, most unfortunately, but understandably, those people are afraid to make complaints. And that doesn't surprise me, knowing the nature of some of the intimidation that has been going on there. The way I see it, it's the law of the land or it's anarchy. And for me, it's the law of the land every time, there's no question.
At one stage, the situation got so out of control that shadowy figures began mounting vehicle checkpoints in the area around Ballinaboy. Now, at these checkpoints, motorists were stopped and questioned by these people and asked where they were going to work. If they said they were going to work in places like, say, Bordnamona, they were allowed to go through. If they said they were coming to work for Shell, then they were told to go home. Now, that continued until the Gardaí were ordered to move back into Ballinaboy and take control of the situation.
Never, in my experience, have Shell workers been threatened or intimidated. These allegations are untrue and false.
What has it meant for you, these protests?
I don't want to answer that. You can cut that.
In 2006, we had to come to work in convoys. We had to have the Gardaí Síochána there to safeguard our access to the site. We had abuse hurled at us. We had, on certain occasions, we had concerns for our own safety, and only for the Gardaí and the job that they did in managing getting us through. Things could have been quite different.
Workers are not entitled to work on an illegal or illegitimate site, and therefore all that work should be stopped.
Everyone is entitled to go to work, earn a living, go home safe in the evening. We had to go to work in the mornings with their assistance. There has been coverage on the media on the amount of money spent with security and utilising the guards' resources, but it was no way we were getting into work without their assistance, and we needed safe access to work. So without them, we would not be here today.
It is right and lawful that a community and citizens within that community have the lawful authority to use force to protect themselves, their environment, and their natural resources.
So far, it seems to me that the most extreme protesters do not accept the verdict of democratic Ireland. I know it's very easy to criticise democratic Ireland at the moment. It's always easy to criticise democracy because, as Winston Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government until you try another. But it is what we have. It is what we stand by. And we do have always the possibility of purifying it and making it better. And I think that, for me, one of the reasons why I would accept this project is that democratic Ireland, in its various manifestations, has investigated it fairly thoroughly.
Look, it's a sad day that we have to do this. Besides, in our own country, we're only ordinary people protecting our ordinary families, our everyday life is ruined. I mean, it's our own government that has done this shit.